So this study on inner child therapies and understanding inner child issues is a part of my PhD doctoral research, which is on adverse childhood experiences and impact on the mental health of adults. In this study, we included the research of 900 people who had come to us with different mental health issues, and we assessed them on 10 of the adverse childhood experience parameters. So we took them through a detailed questionnaire where we understood what were the different childhood trauma elements that were present in their growing up years. And these were based on all the research that we went through, which had identified the top 10 categories of adverse childhood experiences that are most likely to impact the mental health of adults. All these, the questionnaire, the ACE questionnaire was first of all filled up by the client themselves, so it was a self-assessed questionnaire. But after that, we conducted one-to-one personal interviews with each of these people, and we tried to understand in detail on each of their childhood trauma experiences so that we can understand them better and we can also work on their therapeutic interventions in a more informed way.
The study explored the link or the association between what happens to adult during the childhood and the impact on the adult's depression and anxiety. So this is more of linking the root cause. There are a couple of terms that can describe this. One, a strong association between the childhood trauma and adulthood anxiety and depression, or a dose-response relationship between the traumatic experiences and its impact on depression and anxiety. So higher the dosage of childhood trauma components, the higher the likelihood of depression, and at every increase in dose, there is a similar increase likelihood in depression and anxiety. So that's the objective we started with. In the analysis part, we connected through correlations and regression the several components of childhood trauma, specifically 10, with depression, anxiety, and also broke it down between generations X, Y, and Z to understand, is there a link? We found that several categories of childhood trauma components had a link with adults' likelihood of depression and anxiety. Specifically, the interpersonal childhood experiences that you see on the screen, the 4 components, which is emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional neglect, each of them had a strong correlation and likelihood of resulting in long-term depression and anxiety. Additional components included domestic violence, so the child has experienced domestic violence in front of his or her own eyes, has a higher likelihood of experiencing depression and anxiety as an adult. And this also was linked to mental health issues or a history of suicide behavior in the family. Those kind of experiences in the environment also increase the likelihood of depression and suicide. And as we studied that, we expanded that to understand if there is a dosage of these 10 experiences. So those who had low dosage, and you can see the classification on the screen, low dosage, medium dosage, high dosage, and very high dosage. The individuals who had high component or high dosage of childhood trauma experiences during childhood had as high as 7 times likelihood of experiencing depression compared to those who had none. And that number reduced, but it was still meaningful in the high versus none and medium versus none. And similar data was also identified, which is dose-response relationship between childhood trauma dosage and likelihood of anxiety. So to summarize, several individual components and an overall dosage of childhood trauma increased the likelihood or association or was associated with likelihood of depression and anxiety. And this is a very interesting connection between when you meet a person as an adult who has depression and anxiety and connect that to the childhood to understand specific components and the overall dosage, which is the root cause of the depression and anxiety. Note that there are several other intermediate situations that happen. So this is talking of correlation and not causation. And there's a separate project that we are working on to identify the causal pathways. So I hope this gives you an idea. And notice that Gen Z were more likely to have experienced this compared to the other generations, and the details are available in the research paper. So this first publication in the Indian Journal of Community Medicine highlighted the concept of inner child phenomena into a structure of adulthood depression and anxiety and connected that with specific and overall dosage of childhood trauma component. And it's very powerful because we're not just drawing timeline, we identify specific components, its frequency, and we also go through personal interviews. So very authentic data of over 900 samples, and a lot of details are in the conclusions. You can read through it. So this is connecting to the association between inner child phenomena and adult mental health issues or internalizing symptoms. And I'm very happy that this is not just the work I do or Riri does. We have a lot of therapists. You can see some of their names on the screen have contributed to this. And for the research paper, we have a lot of experts who have contributed, including Riri's doctoral guide, Dr. Anita Kumar, Dr. Karthirwal from PGI Chandigarh, Dr. Saurabh, Dr. Hemalata Ramani, and many individuals have contributed to this whole idea, and I'm grateful to all of them. And finally, what we have talked about are 2 or 3 of the research papers that we have worked specific to identifying and addressing the childhood trauma component or the concept of inner child. We do a lot more on the adverse childhood experiences. As you can see, there is a lot of work from machine learning to predict the risk of mental health issues, to using machine learning to identify which of the specific components are present or more likely to be present in the individuals presenting with issues of suicide behavior, to the importance of doing personal interviews. And we are also connecting and writing more details on specific components which are connected to higher percentage increase in depression compared to the other components. For example, emotional abuse is strongly connected to a higher level of increase in depression levels compared to physical abuse, which was surprising for us when we discovered this. But this is backed by a lot of global scientific evidence. So a lot of work is happening to establish not just the credibility, but the effectiveness of the outcomes that we deliver. And if there is anything, again, that you would like to learn more about or have questions, please write in the comments. And if you like the video, please subscribe and stay in touch.